What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Great People TV with me, Ben Ibrahim. And today I'm flying solo. That's right, Hannah Ismail, my co host and my partner in crime. She sends her apologies that she can't be here, but she is in another part of the state of Malaysia doing a shoot. Yes, life of a freelance TV presenter, voiceover talent, all of the above. But today is a very, very interesting topic, another interesting topic of Great People TV, and it is the business of sports. But before we get there, don't forget, before we start the show, please, please, please click the like button and the follow button on Great People TV on Facebook. That's right, on our Facebook page. And we are also very active on YouTube, and we are also active on Instagram. So if you can follow, well, press all the follow buttons, really. There you have it, Facebook, YouTube, and right here it is. Yep. Oh, no, this one. This one. Yep. Instagram. And yep, we are working very, very hard on the content this year to really make it fully cracking, exciting, engaging, entertaining. And don't forget, the show is not about us, it's about the great people that we invite on the show to tell their stories, which make Great People TV. But without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the founder of the YOLO Group, Mr. Tim Heath, all the way, no, not in Estonia, but he's in the lovely land of Spain, and he's wearing his heart on his sleeve at the moment because the YOLO Group is also, well, it is the company that founded Sportsbet.io, which is the main sponsor of the Southampton Football Club in the English Premier League, the mighty, mighty Saints. Tim, how's it going over there in Spain?
G'day, Ben. How you doing? Very nice to be here, and hi to all the audience.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for being here, mate. Mate, look, it's a coffee shop conversation today. It's a very nice scenic view that you got over there, and making us very jealous a little bit. But we're talking about the business of sports today in a very, very coffee shop conversation. But let's roll back the years a little bit. I mean, it's very interesting that I studied in Melbourne, and you went to Scotch College, and I'm not going to hold that against you, being a Geelong grammar boy. But but you studied a Bachelor of Commerce, a double degree, Commerce and Information Systems. And while most of your friends were going off to look for a management trainee program in a bank, in a consulting company, being a lawyer, being the next big C level, or the path to be a C level, you said to yourself, nope, I want to work for myself because I've seen your interviews in previous episodes. Yes, I did a double degree at a major, major big university in Australia. I went to a good private school in Australia, but you did your MBA at Crown Casino. Okay, so
Yeah,
tell us about the starting point of that. And I know you always tell people that, look, I mean, because you love playing poker, and I'm sure you played it there at Crown Casino. So what is the relationship between that degree, entrepreneurship, poker, and your start of the start of your journey of being an entrepreneur?
so it's very, very interesting, Ben. I was always fascinated by playing card games and chess and backgammon growing up, and just enjoyed it and so forth. Going to university, studying commerce and information systems, it was really something close to my heart. How money works. From a commerce perspective, and then information systems. Obviously, it was the genesis of the internet. Back, I think I was first on the internet in 1995 with Melbourne PC User Group, and it was the real just before the dot-com bubble, and things were moving along very quickly. Rounders, the movie, came out with Matt Damon in '99, and a few of us at college watched it, and really were fascinated by this game, Texas Hold'em. So I think we ended up at the casino one night after the footy, and we stumbled across the Las Vegas poker room, and we sat down and played. And it was a fascinating game, and became nearly hooked the first moment I played, just because I look at poker as money management, psychology, mathematics and probability, pod odds, implied odds, networking, social interactions with people, how to run a bluff, how to change gears, how to assess the situation and work out what the best play is to maximize that return on investment that you need. So I really, really enjoyed the game. I often say my MBA was done in the Las Vegas poker room at Crown, which was a very expensive MBA, learning the game. And from that point, when I did my thesis at uni, I in fact did it on online poker, which was still in the very, very early days then. Simply, my thinking was, you've got a poker room with a finite amount of space and tables and resources being people to run the game. If that could move online, money can move more seamlessly. You can spawn a new table and new resources to run the game, unlimited, basically, depending on your server speed. But you can have 10 people in that online virtual poker room, or you can have 10,000, as PokerStars has shown us how to do. And that fascinated me with this, the security, the encryption, the banking, the PSPs, moving money around, the connectivity around the world, and finding a great game that people can play almost. This is 20 years ago, but this is like the metaverse in essence. That I remember distinctly playing on Paradise Poker, and one guy was playing, and he lost his money, and he said, "Oh well, at least tomorrow's another day in paradise playing poker with you boys." So there was a great camaraderie around poker back then, and it was really coming out of the smoky underground bars and places where poker would have been played in the 70s and 80s, and it became a legitimate mind sport, a game of skill, and which it is a game of skill. It's not luck. And I think in rounders, why do you think the best 10 poker players in the world always make the final table of the World Series of Poker every year? Because it's a game of skill. And it really found something in me. Is like, well, actually, this is a great hobby to play, and then it could be potentially a business to run, which encaptures all of my studies of what I've learned in university, and give it a shot. Now, I was always an entrepreneur. I was running businesses since I was 12 years old, trying to make enough money, down the park and whatnot. And I suppose when all my friends went off to those types of jobs, I jumped on a plane to Hong Kong and a train to Moscow, through China, Mongolia, and Siberia to play in the Russian Poker Championships. And then I went across to Estonia, and I thought I'll give myself 6 months there. And I really want to find programmers who can take my vision and my ideas to fruition, and build it up. And Estonia was a very, very wide country back in the day. They came out of the Soviet Union in '91, and instead of, I think Finland offered them their old telephone network, a copper cabling telephone network, because they didn't have the infrastructure that one would have. And the government at the time said, no, actually, we need to be investing in digital funnels and digital tunnels and links. We need to wire the whole country because we don't have the natural resources that Australia has. We need to really take our humans and their mindsets forward, and that's our brain capital, if anything. So they completely wired the whole country. Using computers became mandatory from grade 1 at school. And I think now 98% of banking is done online to this day. They had SMS parking back in 2002. All taxes are done automatically through your internet banking portal, and they take 3 minutes because everything is already pre-ledgerized beforehand. So it's not like you need to go and prepare your taxes with a tax agent retrospectively. It's all done proactively at the point of consumption. So your tax return takes 3 minutes. And honestly speaking, that's how it should be. So it was a very progressive nation. There was a very good mindset on trying to rebuild the infrastructure, which Estonia didn't have for many years. And from my perspective, I found some really, really smart guys to help me build out a vision of really working with poker initially. I wasn't really that interested in the casino or the sports betting side of the equation. I'm a punter myself. I enjoy a bet, but I really enjoyed poker because you're providing a service, and then people will play amongst themselves. And if we can provide a fair game and take a commission from running the game, it felt like a good thing. Now, as time goes on, opportunities arose, and I think 2014 we'll probably talk about it a bit, but that's when we sort of stepped more into the casino and the sports betting side of the equation, and thoroughly enjoying providing that fair and transparent environment for people to have an entertaining bet. And we're very, very careful not to let people get out of control, because as a player myself, I wouldn't want myself getting out of control. So I think those principles in how to run a business need to really be look after other people the way you'd want to look after yourself. So it's been a fascinating journey. We're a company now of 700 people. Offices in Melbourne and Perth and Manila and Sao Paulo and Kiev and London and Malta and Tallinn, Estonia, obviously, as well. So truly a global business with a lot of people around the world, and that brings its own certain challenges, but we still get up and enjoy what we're doing every day.
No, it's really great to hear that story really really, really take off. You know, you believed in something and you went for it. But speaking of going for it, tell us about. I mean, obviously, you said you know you're responsible. You like to take a punt and you're responsible about it. But tell us about how you set up Sportsbet.io and in terms of you know how it's connected to cryptocurrency and you know very much that is the new thing in business these days. Some people are still a bit unsure about it, but it seems to work for you and it seems to work for your business.
Yeah, so look, in about 2013, the poker industry really struggled because it became, let's call it a database game. You know, the deep blue with chess, the computers are smarter than people if they're programmed with machine learning, and poker became a programmably winnable game. So for the general guy coming in to play the game, he can't beat the computers. So that led to some of a downfall. The economics of poker is not the best model in the world either. So we were faced with this: is what do we do? And our biggest issue was controlling the money. We were relying on outside and external parties to pay us what we were due, and we made a decision 2013 that we need to look at crypto and Bitcoin specifically back in the day, and we actually launched a poker network using crypto as the betting token.
Right.
And we had a few casino games on the side of that, and all of a sudden the casino games were doing a lot better than the poker network itself. That was the genesis of Big Casino. But 2016, a couple of months before the European Championships, I just said to the guys in March, I think it's time we have a sports book. I'd bought a domain, sportsbet.io, many years previously, and just said, I think it's time we build it. You've got 3 months to build it. Good luck. And we pulled 18-hour days for 3 months, and we launched it on the 10th of June at about 5:30 in the afternoon, and the first game was 6 p.m. So we hit that, and grew it from there. The key points about what we're trying to do, in essence, it's all about moving money. And if you're trying to do bank transfers, if you're trying to do credit card payments, which it's a 7995 transaction, for instance, not everybody in this world likes gambling, is the bottom line. And I appreciate that and understand that, and I respect that as well. But there are a certain part of the population who do enjoy a punt on the football. In fact, there's a lot of people around the world who do
There's a
enjoy
lot,
that.
mate.
Our thing was, if we can solve money in, money out, if the biggest problem in poker was you can put money in, you can win, but you might be delayed 1 week of trying to send that money back to the customer, which is ridiculous. And we thought, well, if we're using crypto, if you win, we'll pay you within 2 minutes. And we
Nice.
had a very, very tough KPI. Well, it was almost a challenge to the staff. How can we pay people quickly? Because tell you what, if I'm playing and if I win $5,000, I want to be paid within 2 minutes because the money comes to my mobile phone, ding, 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 money comes up. I feel I've got it, and I can trust that sportsbook or that casino whom I'm playing with. And crypto allowed us to move that money back and forth many times without the leeches of the financial industry trying to take 2 to 3% on every single transaction. And all of a sudden, we found there's this new segment of users around the world who, one, love crypto, two, love the simplicity and the white paper of how you can have immutable transaction going around the world. There was no potential for a chargeback. Credit card, you're pulling money from a customer. Crypto, you're pushing money to the merchant. So the decision made to push the money there, so you're not going to have that credit card fraud, which a lot of merchants have these days, and over the last 20 years as well. So it made a better experience for the customer. It made a better operational process for us as a merchant, which meant that we saved money on this credit card merchant fees, so we could then give a better experience to the customer. And then if you win, whether you win $100 or $1 million, don't care. We'll pay you in 2 minutes, full stop. And there's a great story there. We had a Japanese guy, and he won $250,000, and really, really nice guy. We paid him in 2 minutes, and we sent him a bottle of champagne, sent him to the Park Hyatt for a weekend, and bought his girlfriend Jimmy Choo shoes. And he's written to me. I've met him at the Rugby World Cup in 2008, and he's written to me and he said, why did you I've just won from you $250,000. Why are you now looking after me like this? I said, firstly, gambling is like this. The house has a 51% chance. The player has a 49% chance. We are happy when you beat the odds. We know in the long term, mathematically, we will win that 2%. This is guaranteed, but some people through natural variance, some will win or some will lose. We're really, really happy for you that you've beaten the odds. we want to congratulate you. And then I said to him, and how many people have you told that story? And he goes, oh, plenty. So, in essence, it was a bit of a marketing stunt. But, nice guy, and it worked really well. But that's the actual dynamics of gambling, that it is that 51-49. And as a casino and as a sportsbook, we should be really, really happy when the punters, they're not betting us, they're betting the mathematics, and we should celebrate that with them.
Right. No, no, that's it's a really, really funny and good story, and that goes to show you PR and marketing does work. But let's move on to the crux of the topic, the business of sports. Now, I'm going to give you two questions here, and you just answer it very casually and as you wish. But you're Victorian. I went to school in Victoria. I mean, you live in a market that, you know what, everybody loves sport. Sport is a religion, especially in your part of the world, Europe. But it's a
Yep.
very, very tough business to monetize. A lot of clubs, especially in football, go bankrupt, they insolvency, all of the above. So the first part of the question is, why do so many clubs or full-time professional sporting organizations get it wrong? No right or wrong answer, strictly your opinion. And the second part of that question is, how can sports gambling assist with building revenue streams and probably keeping the business profitable, or really, really profitable?
So let's take a couple of examples here. You've got let's call it English Premier League football club or Geelong Cats in the AFL. In Australian football, there is a cap on how much money can be spent on players to sort of restrict the Liverpools of the Australian football to just buy everybody or the City Group. English football, there is no caps. So basically, whoever's got the biggest purse can spend the most money. And like sponsoring football, it comes down to return on objective. So the City Group, Liverpool, Man U, their objective is to get the Champions League and to win that, because it's going to bring a bigger fan base and, one would hope, more money. If we look at Southampton, they want to develop players, take them in from a £10 million level up to a £50 million level, 30 million, and sell them off to a Liverpool or a Chelsea or whoever else. Football clubs are simply trading enterprises, and the results on the football pitch add gravitas to how much that asset is worth, if I can break it down to an economic sense. Right now, and I was talking with the CEO of Southampton last Saturday, I was talking with the CEO of an unnamed football club last Saturday, and he said, it's like a kindergarten of schoolboy millionaires. And I think football in general is a segment of schoolboy millionaires, kindergarten millionaires. These football players think they are the bee's knees of everything. You've got the agents in there who are really trying to push and earn their money. If we all remember back to Jerry Maguire, obviously, and the great movie on agents in football or sport in general, everybody's trying to make the most money possible, and it's pushed the bar up so high that the only way a Southampton's going to really make money, apart from sponsorship, merchandise, advertising revenue, is from trading players up. But the City Group, the Liverpools, they need to go and win the silverware so they can command bigger sponsorships. And you're almost, the football, playing of the football is not really significant.
True.
Or doesn't actually affect the profitability of a football club, although this is the measurement. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not combined, it's not synchronized between the on-field and the business of football, so you can't affect one or the other that well, although they are loosely combined, because the more your players play well, the more that you can sell. If a player does better for your club, you can sell him off for more and get rid of him out of your club. I mean, selling Gary Ablett from Geelong, I was mortified as a one-eyed Geelong supporter, but I understood from his own individual perspective it was the right move to make, and thank God he came back to Geelong for a year or two. It's people talk about being a one-club footballer. I think money gets in the way of this. I think player agents get in the way of this. Most football clubs don't make money, to be quite frank.
Yes, that's the thing.
Majority of the money comes from advertising revenues, comes from your merchandise, comes from your gate receipts at stadiums, which COVID has obviously made a huge problem and affected the bottom line of football clubs with that, and then trading football. Now, sponsorships only make up, let's say, 5 to 10% of a club's revenue, and this is my opinion, and I don't know the numbers exactly. So, and you sort of benchmarked around of what it is. I mean, I'm happy to say we pay £7 million a year to sponsor Southampton. and around the same to sponsor Arsenal as a global betting partner, which is a huge amount of money, but the eyeballs we get around the world and the trust and the reputation is beneficial for us. That said, now the UK government want to ban gambling sponsors in the EPL and also the Championship, which I think will decimate the whole league because they rely on this money to come in.
Exactly.
The football clubs. So the question is, where is the next revenue channel coming for a football club? And I have a very, very strong belief, and I'm certainly pushing this narrative, that the crypto angle and the play-to-earn games, as we've seen in the Philippines with Axie Infinity, football clubs have the database of Arsenal's got a 100 million person footprint, fan group footprint around the world. If we can help the fans make $50 a day, if we can help the club bring in £50 million worth of revenue a year, and if we can engage the community and really bring the fan closer to the stadium, because the question I ask, who is the fan of it? Who is the fan now? Is it the fans inside the stadium a la 10, 20 years ago, or is it actually the fans down in Lagos and Kenya and Shanghai and KL who are the real fans of these football clubs? And then how do the football clubs engage those fans to bring them closer to the fabric of that football club itself? So I think there's a real issue around that. And you can only rely on TV broadcast deal with Sky and Amazon Prime and whatever else so much. And all the bigger clubs, hence we had the Super League breakaway, because all the bigger clubs are going, well, why do we need to support the smaller clubs, the Burnleys, the Aston Villas, and Brentfords and Watfords and whatnot? Because what are they bringing to the equation? Why don't we just take the top 10 clubs in the world and go out and do it ourselves? A huge backlash from everyone again.
Yeah.
So the fan still has a lot of say in it, but I'm worried that there's an old-fashioned business model which is not up to date in football clubs around the world, is my general thesis here.
Right. So, and you're very much saying, I mean, obviously you work in the sports betting industry, but from what you're saying, it does provide that revenue stream that it's very much there because sponsorship and the Champions League money can only give you so much, right?
Correct. Yeah. And look, we're happy to be a good partner of Southampton and Arsenal, and we want to work with them. And I've always said we don't want to be a walking billboard. It's not the reason. There are some Asian bookmakers who simply whack it up on a shirt and be done with it and never meet them. I love entertaining guests and networking and working with the club. I mean, Arsenal, we're doing an Arsenal Innovation Lab initiative where we've sent out and said we'll put $250,000 up to 10 startups to come and pitch how they can help bring the fan closer to Arsenal in a COVID time, or let's call it a Zoom time. So, it's an 8-week program. We had 500 submissions. We narrowed it down to 20. We've now got 10 teams working on their pitches and their startups. And I think at the end of February is when we do the final one, and the winner wins $250,000. And we set a very clear objective, again, with Arsenal saying what kind of startups we're going to look for and help. So we're not just Sportsbet as a gambling operation. We actually, the YOLO group we're in banking and fintech and venture capital, but we're using the leverage of our sponsorship with Arsenal to now work with African startups on how to move money better around the world, or how to improve that fan engagement piece, which is ever so important to the Arsenals and Southamptons.
Right. And Tim, it's really funny. I think life is sending us a signal because as you were talking about that, the wind was moving and your hair was fluffing around. And you know what's that, mate? That's the wind of change. So you know what? So may that wind of change bring the change to mindsets of many, many people out there, because I think, in my opinion anyway, a lot of sports owners and executives need to look at different and alternative ways, because even in Malaysia, a very, very sporting amateur ecosystem, you can't just rely on knocking on doors and say, please give me money. I mean, especially now in COVID times, things are tough. So, that's the last thing they want to part with.
So it's interesting. I'm involved with Estonian cricket. I was the captain for many years, and now the chairman of the board, or whatever you call it. And I've really enjoyed being part of an amateur national team. We're ICC ranked 82 in the world, and thoroughly enjoy being a part of the ICC infrastructure, and trying to raise money to support amateur sport is incredibly difficult. And you're right, so
Very.
many people are hurting out there at the moment because of what COVID has done and affected traditional businesses, as I call them. It's very, very hard to. I love sport, and I've grown up playing it, and I want to support the teamwork and the sort of the fellowship of sport and the mateship of sport and the teamwork, the strategy. It's a great thing to be a part of. And how do we as people or companies or nations support that? And there's not that much money from the Australian Olympic Committee going towards cricket in Estonia because it's probably not that interesting to most Estonians. That may be a little bit different in Australia with the television rights, but we enjoy it, we love it, so we're not going to get that governmental support. We get support from the ICC, $15,000 a year, which is great. That pays for our indoor cricket balls for a season. So where does an amateur sport go to do that? And I'll come back, maybe that kind of crypto initiative, which will help bring people all together, which will give a new type of advertising medium or a mechanic of which people can be involved to work with crypto. And this is not just a fan token, which has been pushed around. This is actually trying to create utility and give people some economic freedom. And perhaps sporting groups need to look at really moving towards how crypto can help the organisation, the members. I mean, buying cricket bats and equipment, it's an expensive hobby, cricket.
Very.
And not everyone has that spare cash to enjoy it. So I think there is a transformation about how we need to look at supporting the economics of whether it be amateur or professional sporting teams or leagues.
No, good on you, mate. And may there be, I hope that may many other entrepreneurs out there follow in your footsteps and really give it out to people. I always call it the 3 Fs: fun, fitness, and friendships. So that's the best thing about
Yep.
sport. And we learned that in school sport. Just a couple more questions, man, before we wrap it up. It's been a cracking conversation. But, you mentioned Arsenal, huge fan base. But in a nutshell, why the mighty, mighty Saints? And where do you want to take the mighty, mighty Saints?
So we originally sponsored Watford back in 17-18, and I was about to do a deal with Southampton at the time. We had shaken on it, but there was some Chinese ownership of Southampton, and I think at a board level, they decided to go with a different partner who has since failed to pay Southampton, and they called me back into the equation. When Watford went... Anyway, the world goes around in a funny way.
Yep.
When Watford got relegated, we obviously stuck with them for a year contractually, but we wanted to really still maintain our presence in the EPL, and Southampton were in a bit of a pickle with their previous sponsor not paying them, so they called me up and said, would you help us out? And we obviously negotiated some good terms. I won't go into them, but they were favourable, and we jumped on there and pretty much did the deal in 2 days and got it turned around, and we were sponsored last year. And then this year we've been, and I said to Southampton, now's your chance to really show me how we can work together and how we can be mutually beneficial here. I don't want that billboard. I want to know what we can really do to push this forward. And they've been fantastic. They're very... It sounds a strange one. I'll say they're a very honest club and they're a very humble club. They know where they are. They know where they're in the pecking order, and they're not going to be the top of the table, but they want to be the best digital presence of an EPL team. And I think what we do as the Yolo Group, we can certainly help them with some of those initiatives as well. And I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy being the underdog and taking them on. And they're a good bunch of guys and love working with them. So we've extended that to now be another 3 years with Southampton. And now talking, obviously, there's new ownership there with the guys coming in with a sports technology background. And I met them last weekend and looking forward to understanding their Moneyball-esque strategy they want to take forward, because I think that's something which is very dinosaurish in the English football as well, is that it's not just what a single coach thinks anymore. From a sports betting perspective, we understand 200 data points about every single game to help us understand what the odds should be. And if you are sports trading on football players, perhaps you need to take the similar Moneyball approach to it all. And I think the new ownership of Southampton certainly want to employ those concepts, of which I would love to be a part of. So looking forward to talking to them further about where we can take Southampton.
Inshallah, mate, as we say in Malaysia, will happen.
Inshallah, exactly, yes.
But just one sentence answer, if you can. in terms of what we've spoken about today, the business of sports, and it's not, and you've clearly alluded to success does not just mean winning the top four of the to get into the Champions League, or winning the Champions League, or winning the Premier League. It's about staying survival, profit. Okay, you may finish 10th, but everything's okay. We can survive.
Yep.
Nobody's out of a job. We don't have to cut back and all. So, in all essence, in the business of sports or running a football club, and in terms of Southampton's case, in terms of the vision that all of you have, what does success look like?
So first thing I'd say is that owning a football club, if I was in that position, would be a very, very expensive hobby, a bit like owning a racehorse. Don't expect to make money, but enjoy it if you can, because it's going to be expensive. Um, I think for a football club, success is setting those objectives. And if that is finishing in the top 10, which obviously you get your advertising payment, if you run a successful club, if you bond well, if your fans are happy, if your foreign fans are happy, if you have the engagement you're after, if you're selling merchandise, I think that's what success looks like. I don't think it's not going to be some multi-million dollar EBITDA profitable business. I mean, I'm not sure what City or Liverpool are doing, but I think the only way to really make money out of it, I believe, would be have a multi-club strategy and have a centralized function in the middle and have a route through for your internal trading channel. So whether it be European clubs or Brazilian clubs coming through a funnel up to the top into the EPL being the major football club. And I think City do this and with their clubs around the world in Mumbai and Melbourne,
Yes,
New York
yes.
team as well. I don't know how much they're sharing players around, but if you can collect your intelligence and your business intelligence about players and footballs and competition and nearly centralize that, and if you can do commercial management and contract management and streamline that, maybe that's where you can eke out some more percentage of margins. But I think you do it for the glory. What one thing I was really interested to hear, actually the EPL is owned by 20 shareholders, and that is the 20 clubs. And the chairmen or the CEOs of those clubs meet with the operational team who run the EPL, but the final decision makers are those 20 shareholders. So it's a fascinating to really get inside how the biggest football league in the world works and where that money comes from, and how, we're talking massive television right deals around the world, and how that money all comes through and filters down, and how it affects grassroots football, because the Premier League nearly have a responsibility. I think it's the FA actually have got a responsibility that if you are in the 10th division or the 7th division, do you have quality? Is there a pathway up to the EPL? And I think there's a responsibility of those clubs to really ensure, one, that pathway through the whole leagues, but women's football, kids football, and it's been wonderful to see the growth of women's football. Over, I'd say the last 5 years, it's really, and the Women's World Cups have been wonderful to be a part of as well. It's about having fun, as you say. Fun, friends, and what was the other one? Fitness.
Fitness, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
fitness.
I didn't get that one. I didn't get that part, but I certainly got the fun and the friends part playing rugby. So
Yeah, all good. And mate, I'll be very honest with you. I mean, I look at you, and I've looked what you've done with sports, not just with football, with cricket, and the investment in sport. That, I mean, you just love sport. Bottom line, but
yep.
I see this hunger in you that, I mean, you want to surpass someone like the Glazers. But in terms of Tim Heath, I mean, the man that doesn't sleep, that the man that is always thinking, and the man that's always brainstorming with your team and without your team. What is your long term vision, and which point do you want to come to and say, yeah, this is the mecca of sports business, or this is the mecca of sports?
I think what drives me is that I see inefficiency, and I see people too scared to change and to take a risk. And I think from being a poker player, I've learned how to assess risk and put money where my mouth is. And I love challenging the status quo. So taking the biggest football league in the world and saying, hang on, let's set it upside down for a second. And I've now got that network of CEOs and owners of football clubs that I can have a dinner conversation with them and say, this is my opinion of what you need to do. Don't be scared. change is not a bad thing. It's just a scary thing to do. But you need to, as the captains of the industry, captains of the football world, you need to be the ones leading this forward. And I love the challenge of doing that. And I don't always get it right, but sometimes I do. And it's fun to sit there and go, yeah, how bloody cool. I mean, the funny one, I took my parents to the game on Saturday, and I said to them at Southampton, before the game starts, whack up on the screen, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Heath, on the scoreboard, which has been, they played City, and it's beamed out to half the world. And there we are sitting in the box, and Mum goes, oh, shit, look, our name's on the scoreboard, Dad. And I mean, that's just the fun things to do in life that make it all so worthwhile, to get a smile from Mum and Dad, just not appreciation, just to be on the journey with me. And that makes it all worthwhile, all those hours of talking and working and strategizing and challenging and not being content with something, always thinking we can do it better. That's what drives me along. So, yeah.
Nice,
I don't know what the end goal is. Don't really care, just as long as I have fun every day.
And you seem like you're having fun as well. So anyway, mate, it's been a wonderful interview. Just last question, because this is a question I ask all entrepreneurs. I mean, there's a big market of people out there who do want to start their own thing. But, and they're working in a big corporate job in a bank or an SME, or, I mean, they're working for someone really, and they're really, really scared to take the plunge and go out on their own. But what's your advice to those people to, start something, whether it's small or big, and just go for it and make those entrepreneurial dreams come true?
So 2 things here. You have your 8 hours at work, you have your dinner, you've then got another 6 hours. Don't watch Netflix. Don't look at TikTok. Don't look at Facebook. Go and work. Go and do an hour a day on your business concept. Go and talk to people. Go and network. Ask for advice. Message me if you've got a question you want to know to ratify a business idea. But nothing comes easy. You've got to work hard. Stop wasting time on TikTok and Instagram. I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking to the people in general, and focus on what you've got to believe in what you want to do. You've got to get out there. You've got to take the first step. Then focus on making the first dollar. Once you've made the first dollar, send me a message.
Nice.
Pretty simple. But you've got to get out of bed and start.
Right. Well, that's, I mean, I remember watching a previous interview with you, man, on another YouTube channel. I think you've got, what do you have on your wall? You have a wall that says $1 on it or something like that?
Yeah, it's all about making the first dollar.
Okay.
Always is. Because if you can do that, then you can scale it.
Right.
But it's the hardest thing to do, to make that first dollar.
All right. So Tim's advice, everybody, put that $1 on the wall. And you know what? My advice is also put it in the toilet, because you go to the toilet every day, and every time you go to the toilet, it'll be don't flush your dreams away. Look at the dream and then think about them. So look, Tim, thank you so much from all of us here at Great People TV for making the time for your busy schedule. I know you're in Spain now and you're all over the world, but you made time for us. The content today has been absolutely fantastic, really straightforward, really factual and inspirational. So anytime you want to, I say this to all our guests, anytime that you want to come on, you want to tell people about something that you've done within your group, professionally, personally, cricket-wise, just send me a WhatsApp, and just say, like, Ben, I've got a story to tell. I'll put you on Great People TV in the next 20 minutes, and Bob's your uncle. You're there. So thanks very much, mate.
Been a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Right. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Bye.
So thank you very much, Tim Heath. Look, everyone, that was a fantastic interview. Look, very, very straightforward. Tim is a typical Aussie, gets straight to the point, details, and, really, really words of inspiration. Do not go on social media once you get home after you have dinner. Okay, if you have a family, spend some time with the family, spend some time with the keluarga, but then make it happen. And it's hard. It's very, very susah, as we say in Malaysia and Indonesia. It's hard, but hard work makes the dream work. So your dream is to make that $1. I'm going to think about $1 tonight. So don't forget, please join us next week for another episode of Great People TV. Yes, it is Chinese New Year, Kong Hee Fa Choi, but we still will run, and we will have authors Sylvia and Matt Friedman on our show, and they're going to be talking about the Southeast Asian sex trade. That's right. These two wrote a book about the challenges and the regulatory and legal challenges about the Southeast Asian sex trade, and they're trying to get rid of it. Really, really fantastic story. Two very good speakers, and they're going to share with us, and Hannah's going to be back as well, about their stories about that very, very interesting topic. But I just want to put in an early shout out to all our viewers who are celebrating Chinese New Year. Kong Hee Fa Choi. And hopefully 2020 will be a safe and prosperous year. But we'll see you next Wednesday on another episode on Great People TV. I'm Ben Ibrahim. Take care.